July's looking to be a slow month, but there's still stuff to talk about. Let's talk. What up, viewers? What up? What up? Calc Soups here, and today is July 7th, and that means it's time for a quick recap of the week in video game news. There's been, a slow week, half week for everybody here in America, so probably looking at not a lot of stuff, but there's still stuff to talk about, so let's hop right into the news. Firstly, the first big thing that I saw that happened this week was Diablo 4 had its season one showcase this week, talking about what's coming in Diablo Season 1 and when it starts. So there'll be more story added in Season 1. I think they're going to introduce a new character. There's going to be better uniques that drop, I think, and that's going to allow for players to make more epic builds, which every time they've updated the game so far, they've been decreasing power, which I thought is a bad way to play it. Like, let people break the game. It's mostly a single-player game. So just let people play with super ultimate powerful builds, and hopefully other diverse builds will come out of that. But I think if you just give people a bunch of tools, they're going to figure out what works and what doesn't, and leave it to the community to figure that out. They also talked about their launch date. So if you're looking to get to level 100, you have just under 2 weeks to get there, because the launch date for Season 2 or Season 1 is July 20th. So yeah, just 13 days from the recording of this to get your character up to max level. If you want to start the season with a new character and work your way through leveling that character up to 100. So there was a little bit more that they talked about, but I'll have links down below in the description for you to check that out. Another thing that came out of the Diablo stream was a new Blood Knight character was announced. Unfortunately, it will be for the mobile game. So Diablo Immortals is getting a new Blood Knight character. When watching the video, I referred to it in my brain derogatorily as Blood Knight, but that's exactly what the class is called, because it made sense. Like, you're a vampire character, you rage out and stab at people. You basically have running around being a vampire. So and wearing heavy armor. So it was kind of funny when I looked back and realized that it was called Blood Knight. Even though I thought I was like making fun of it by calling it something so cliche, I guess. But it's a new class coming to Diablo. Hopefully that means somewhere down the line we'll get a new class in Diablo 4. But for now, that class is for the mobile game, which if you play the mobile game, let me know. I'm curious what your thoughts are on the mobile game. Moving right along, Mortal Kombat 1, the upcoming Mortal Kombat reboot sequel game, is coming out in just a few short months, and the roster expanded with the latest trailer. The latest trailer showed off Smoke and Rain and a couple other characters that we weren't sure that were showing up. It was kind of a story set piece talking about Scorpion and Sub-Zero, but it also showed off Johnny Cage and Jax, which I'm excited to see those. You get to see a little bit more of the partner system, or showcase it. I forget what the name of the system is, but you get to see more of the partner mechanics in gameplay. So and we get to see a whole lot of the ninjas running around killing each other. So I'm curious what they're gonna do. And as with most Mortal Kombat players, I'll be playing it for the story. So looking forward to that and interacting with some of the characters that I know and love. Moving right along, Overwatch 2 has dabbled in making animated shorts for quite some time. They make one for every character and some story beats. Now they've gone full bore into making it a full production anime. There's a 5-minute anime episode, the first of many, on the Overwatch YouTube channel right now. I haven't watched it yet, but as anybody who, I think I've even described them as Pixar level animations for their characters in Overwatch. So I'd be pretty interested to see what they do in a kind of more story-driven narrative, and what they can do with that. So pretty interested to see what they do with that. So looking forward to that. Disney's life sim game Dreamlight Valley is going free to play at some point this year, but we don't quite know when. The developers Gameloft announced their content roadmap and then announced that they were going free to play at some point. But we don't know yet when that's going to be, but there's more and more content being added. My one recommendation would be that when you pick it up and download it, that you play on something with a little bit more power than the Switch. I played it on both the Switch and the Steam Deck when it first came out, and it might have been optimized since then, but it was just noticeably slower on the Switch. So that's my 20-second review of Dreamlight Valley. I still love the game and should probably go back to it. Maybe more than I should go back to Animal Crossing, but that's personal taste at that point. But yeah, let me know what you think of Disney Dreamlight Valley if you picked it up and played it. One article think piece that I saw this week that I wanted to dive a little bit deeper in was just talking about RPGs with both Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield coming out in the next kind of month or so. They're kind of brought up a question of like quantity versus quality, which is something that's kind of existed in the RPG space for quite some time. You have very big, open, expansive, open world RPGs, and those have kind of been the staple for quite some time. Where you know, Fallout's got 7 million quests, and 100 miles of region that you can run across, and that's kind of been the name of the game for a lot of those games. But I think the RPG game has been becoming more diverse in that you can have this kind of smaller experience. It's more kind of curated. I think that's where like Divinity and Baldur's Gate kind of fit. So it kind of came up to what the article called it, a quality versus quantity. Do you want quality, well curated, but more linear gameplay or story in your RPG, or do you want big, open, expansive places to explore and places to get lost in when you're looking for an RPG? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I've found myself more gravitating towards the smaller or more curated path RPGs in my time. Yeah, I'm one of the people that even argues that I think Red Dead Redemption 2 should have been more linear or more gated in which areas you could explore, because as I think a lot of people have complained about, if I've been to Saint Denis like 500 times and then the game introduces me to Saint Denis, when I get to that in the storyline, like, hey, here's this place that you've never been to, just kind of leaves a little bad taste in your mouth. So anyway, I digress, but I love RPGs, and yeah, I've just kind of found myself being more on the like curated path, tight-knit, decisions kind of matter RPG than I have the kind of open world, explore at your leisure, because eventually I just get lost and then lose the golden path, and that was one of my big that was my reaction to the E3 Starfield presentation. Was it's just gonna, if it's too big, I'm gonna lose the golden path, not be able to get back on it, and then like fall off the game because I just haven't felt attached to the world. So so yeah, let me know what you think of RPGs and the state of RPGs and which ones you'll be picking up later this year. The best deal in gaming just got a little bit more expensive for everybody. So Game Pass is now, I think it went from $7 or $8 and it went up $1 for whether you're on PC or an Xbox. And then the Ultimate, I think, went up from $2 to like from $8 to $10 a month or something like that. Those numbers can be off by a little bit, but the one thing they are bringing back to make it back into the best deal of gaming is that if you aren't a subscriber to Xbox Game Pass or Game Pass Ultimate or any of those, you can get the $1 a month deal for the first month if you've never picked it up before. So for those of you who haven't jumped in, I would highly recommend it. $1 a month is pretty cheap to get a massive library of video games. You can get a lot of gaming done in the next month, especially considering how slow it's going to be in the month of July. Not a lot of big releases, so could be a good month to pick that up and try out some stuff on your Xbox or PC. A lot of stuff about Lego this week that caught my eye, but the biggest one was a potential mashup of a gaming IP and Lego. Lego Kerbal Space Program, which to me sounds like a really good idea because Kerbal Space Program is already about mashing up pits and trying to make a rocket. And that's what Lego is about, taking pieces and trying to mash them up and make them look cool. This is only a proposed kit. So I believe the way that Lego works is that creators will propose a kit, and then if it gets enough votes, Lego will actually go out and make it. And so that's what's going on with this Lego Kerbal Space Program set, is that someone has built it, made it look cool, and is proposing that Lego make it. I think that was the same thing that kind of happened with the Lego Zelda that was proposed like last year at some point. It was a kit that was proposed, and I don't know that it got accepted. Otherwise, I feel like I would have heard more about it. But yeah, so that's something that's cool to check it out. If you want to vote for it, I'll have a link down below in the description. We still have a lot of games coming out this year, and one of the ones that you should probably keep on your radar is Helldivers 2. I already talked about it because I think it was at the PlayStation, I believe it was at the PlayStation showcase back in May, but we get to see a little bit more gameplay, and we get to see some familiar systems that were in the game. So in Helldivers 1, there was a system of stratagems where you'd bring in this like once per mission ability, and you would kind of use that to help defeat the waves and waves of bugs. And the third person point of view will, even though it's switching from a top-down view to a third-person point of view, there will still be friendly fire, which was a staple of Helldivers 2 because you were constantly killing your own allies. And so that's still going to be the case, even though the perspective has changed. I still think that there was something novel in the isometric view, but you know, with most shooters nowadays, you got to be first or third, and so no twin stick shooter in Helldivers future. But it seems like it has all of the same kind of feels. They're really leaning into that Starship Trooper vibe. And I think it's going to be a good game, so you should probably keep that on your radar. But there is no confirmed release date yet, so I think they're still trying to figure out how they manage being in, you know, after Starfield, but before all of the holiday releases. So it'll be interesting when that comes out, but I am looking forward to Helldivers 2. I had a blast with Helldivers 1 with my friends when it came out a decade ago. It was close to a decade ago. Feel like it was like 2016 or something like that, so it was a long time ago. Anyway, I digress. Moving right along, the Pokemon Company wants to watch you when you sleep. I mean, the Pokemon game, Pokemon Sleep, there was a video on it this week talking about how you will gain access to Pokemon. It will sleep monitor, which I thought was a little weird. I think it's just weird that there's a sleep monitor. There's also a step tracker in Pokemon Go. So like, why is the Pokemon Company and maybe even Nintendo, like, what are they going to do with that data? Maybe I'm just a little nervous of that stuff, but you can sleep your way to collecting them all. So that will be happening in Pokemon Sleep. Lots of weird stuff going on with them there, Pokemons, but you can sleep to catch them all on Pokemon Sleep. Last but not least, a game that I liked the aesthetic of coming out of Summer Game Fest, but didn't know much about, got a little bit more details. The game was Cataclysmo. It caught my eye at Summer Games Fest, but I didn't quite know what to make of it. And now I've noticed now that they've released a little bit more content on it, we've seen some gameplay. It is a castle defense game, but not like a full. I think I like that I'm calling it a castle defense game as opposed to like a tower defense game. You're not building up towers to try and stop waves of enemies. You're trying to build up a base. I guess it's still tower defense. But you're doing it like piece by piece, like slowly building up a wall that can withstand the waves and waves of enemies while you recruit and build up your army. So it sounds like, and you're building it like brick by brick. So you're like Minecraft base building while trying to defend against waves of horrible enemies. So not quite what I pictured with the aesthetic and the trailer that we saw a couple weeks ago at Summer Games Fest, but still something interesting that I think caught my eye. And now that I know a little bit more about it, I'm curious how I'll be able to play this with friends, because that's the best kind of tower defense, is trying to figure out what everybody's role is and how we're going to defend against these waves and waves of horrible enemies. That's it for this week. Like I said, short week, so not a lot of big, earth-shattering news. And I think July is going to be a pretty slow month until Remnant 2 comes out, which I am very excited for. But if there's anything that you think I missed, feel free to leave a comment down below. And as always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this content. If you do, please follow, like, and subscribe to me on YouTube and Twitch so you can see more great content like this. I'll have links down below in the description. Thanks again. I hope you have a super day. I hope you have a super weekend. And I hope you have a super day. Bye!